Loving God, loving life. Here in Romans 12, we find the theme being Paul counseling the people to present their bodies as living sacrifices to God and to use their grace-given gifts. God has given us all gifts, and he calls them graces. He graces us with gifts, and he expects us to use them for him and for his glory. Here is a transition now in chapter 12. We've found a couple of transitions in Romans. This is the hardest transition, if you will. He very clearly goes from teaching the theology into very practical things about our lives and how we can get our feet on the ground and serve God in this world. And my favorite verse in this chapter is verse 2, where he says, "Don't copy the behavior and the customs of this world." Gang, this world it'll lie to you. It'll lie to you in 100 different ways. And Paul just says, don't copy the behavior and the customs. And it's just so simple. Gang, I'm not the legalist who's going to tell you don't ever watch television. I find some things that I think are mildly edifying, but you got to be careful. But the truth is, gang, this world, if you just allow your heart and mind to get into the way the world thinks, it'll lie to you. You will end up deceived. You'll end up discouraged. You'll end up with all sorts of junk and wonder, how did I get here? Well, see, God wants us to transform. This world will drain you. God wants to transform you. Don't copy the behavior, the customs of this world, but let God transform you. Let God transform you. It's God's job. That's right. He's the transformer. He's got energy. That's why there's a phrase that we often use of a transformed life. That's really our vision, to have, for our life to be transformed by God. A transformed life has gone from being drained by this world to energized by God. Yes, the grace of God doesn't mean that everything is exciting and perfect, but it does mean that, yes, kind of like, when I experience the grace of God in heaven, it's going to energize me, right? It's the same today. He has good things for me. Let God transform you, Paul says. Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. That's what